Number 3 in our post-spring SEC power rankings, the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart-led Georgia Bulldogs coming in at number 3. They got Gunner Stockton at quarterback. They seem fine with kind of just trading Carson Beck for Gunner Stockton. I think the drama and some of the off-field stuff with Beck, obviously the injury. I mean, the way Stockton performed in the SEC championship game, I think they seem fine with that. Honestly, we've said kind of Stockton seems like a more typical Kirby quarterback. That
drives an old pickup truck from
yeah,
from a small town in Georgia. The locker room seems to like him more than Lamborghini Carson Beck. Yeah, it just I'm with you on that.
Yeah, he's going to get some help from Nate Frazier at running back, who was really solid last year. They picked up Josh McCray, big bruiser from Illinois, who will be, kind of down inside the 10-yard line, being able to punch some balls in there.
Dude, I love Nate Frazier.
Yeah,
the talent, his talent, like to be a true freshman and to have what was put on his shoulders because of the injury of ETN last year and just the overall injuries at the tailback position in general. Nate Frazier, coming out of modern day out of California, lived up to the hype last year. Do you expect big things out of him this year in year 2 for him to make a big jump, being the focal point back for Georgia?
Yeah, I think I remember you saying, again, in that week 1 game against Clemson last year, maybe the second week, I mean, you were already raving about Nate Frazier and how
I talked about him before the Clemson game.
Yeah.
That the stuff coming out of the spring propaganda and the fall camp propaganda that comes out of places. Georgia's not one of those, man.
Yeah.
Kirby normally will kind of play it down. You know how he is. He'll act like his team sucks when they're literally preseason number 1 in the country and stuff. So for him to be raving about Nate Frazier like he was going into the year was pretty substantial. And by the way, they better hope that Nate Frazier is as good as what I think he can be, because Georgia was 102nd in rushing last year. And it's unbelievable to me. They were 102nd in rushing last year. That's got to change this year.
Yeah. They needed wide receiver help bad, so they went into the portal. They got Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. They got Zachariah Branch from USC.
Bring back Dylan Bell.
Yep. They give Branch gives them some speed on the outside, something that we've both said that they've kind of just really lacked the past couple of years, we felt like.
They were mid as hell at receiver last year. I mean, dude, they led the nation in drops.
Yeah.
102nd rushing, and the receivers led the nation in drops. And they still found a way to win the SEC with the toughest schedule in the country.
Yeah. I mean, they got that awesome defense back. That's always reliable. Glenn Schumann-led defense. My thing with the defense, though, is I just don't think that they've reloaded in the front like they have in the past. And I don't think, I mean, obviously it's tough to do in the portal era. You think back to those 21, 22, those, how many first rounders do they have on the front 7 and the front 4 even that are now playing for probably the Philadelphia Eagles?
They really are, though.
They just had they just had so many guys that they could just go to. I mean, just shuffle through them. A guy went down. You had another 5-star there to replace. That's what we've said all along, is kind of the evening of the playing field in the portal era. Is these powerhouses don't have these 5 stars waiting in the wings that they can just punch in when a guy, when their depth gets ravaged. So again, all this being said, still wouldn't shock me to see Georgia win the SEC this year.
Agreed. I mean, again, they 102nd rushing last year, led the nation in drops, had key injuries all over the place at running back, at offensive line. Mykel Williams, who went high in the NFL draft this past year, was injured a lot last year. Warren Brinson, defensive lineman, who was really good for them, was injured a lot last year. They were just shuffling in and out D linemen. I know nobody's feeling sorry for Georgia with the depth that they've got. I'm just saying that they dealt with a lot of things last year. Toughest schedule in the country. And still, they found a way to win the SEC and make it to the college football playoffs and get a bye in the college football playoffs. But I'm with you. I think the biggest difference for this Georgia team going into this year, on paper, it doesn't seem like they have those quote unquote just absolute difference makers that nobody else in college football has along their defensive line. Mykel Williams and Jalen Walker are that capability that they had last year. Again, Williams was just injured a lot last year, but both of those cats went to the NFL. I mean, I love the transfer that they brought in from Army. I mean, he's 6'4", 245 pounds. He just, honestly, looking at him, he looks like a Georgia edge rusher. So it wouldn't shock me at all to see him end up being solid for them coming off the edge for, Kirby's defense this year. But they're another one. A lot of these elite teams that we're going to talk about, like the bigger, like blue-blooded type programs that we're all used to being the top-tier programs in college football, your Georgias, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, Michigan, for example, Notre Dame. A lot of these big-time programs, Oregon, that are ranked in the top, 10, they're going to be probably on everybody's list for preseason top 10 teams. Almost all of these teams are breaking in newer, inexperienced quarterbacks. I know we saw Stockton at least, that second half against Texas and in the game and in the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame, but still he's inexperienced for the most part. So what is Gunner Stockton? That's obviously, can Georgia run the football better? Can Gunner Stockton just manage the game, get the ball in the hands of the playmakers? And will Georgia's defense, look, I'm not worried about Georgia's defense. I don't think you are either, are you?
Nope.
No. Georgia's defense,
they'll figure it out.
Right. They may not be the number one overall ranked defense in the country this year, but they're going to be somewhere around top 10 in scoring defense.
And they'll have their moments where they kind of look like they did against Georgia Tech, where they just couldn't figure it out. And then they'll have moments where they look like first half against Texas.
Yep. I think that this year's, I think for Kirby Smart, if you got him in an interview really behind closed doors and kind of off the record, I think he'd tell you this is the perfect type of team that he loves the most. One that is out with kind of a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, something to prove, a quarterback that is...
Which is crazy because they won the SEC last year and they got a chip on their shoulder.
Like, I know, man, like it used to drive me crazy too when Georgia would come out ranked number one in the country and they would act like that, people said, remember that guy after they won the national championship 2 years ago? When they beat TCU. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, yeah, everybody said we were going to go 7-5. Nobody said you were going to go 7-5.
That was Kirby who said that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But like, he's really good at somehow playing that disrespected card and getting those kids. Like when they went to Texas last year, that Georgia team acted like just a bunch of sharks and blood-infested waters. And Kirby after the game was like, nobody thought we could win this game.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, a lot of people did think they weren't going to win that game. But that is the type of stuff that you're dealing with here with this Kirby Smart bunch. Is this team actually will feel slighted because they're going to be preseason ranked. All the stuff that they're going to see, the locker room, bulletin board type material, they're going to be lower ranked than they've been in a long time. We're here having them, in power ranking third in the SEC, and they're going to act like that we just, power rank them 40th or something in the country, which is not the case. But yeah, this is a team that's going to have a chip on their shoulder and is going to have a quarterback that this locker room and this coaching staff has full belief in as far as a leader is concerned, and that they love, that is going to be their trigger man. So wouldn't shock me at all either for Georgia to be sitting there at the end of the year. They're also obviously one of those teams, one of the few teams that I think that has a legit shot to compete at the national championship level and win it all.